Hi, I'm Shane with ScaleTrains.com. Welcome to the 2018 National Train Show in Kansas City. I'd like to introduce you to someone who's new with us. This is Ian.
Hi there, Shane.
Hey, welcome aboard, Ian. So Ian's with us to help us on the marketing and the website, and this is his second trade show, right?
Yeah, my second trade show.
So he's going to be doing a lot more with us in front of the camera as well, and he's doing a lot of the marketing materials. Ian, you know, in keeping with our traditions at each trade show, we've made a new product announcement, and I think it'd be a great idea if we let Paul Ellis, the product developer, tell us about it. What do you think?
Sounds great. Let's take a look.
All right.
You know, when we started ScaleTrains.com 4 years ago, the SD40T-2 was in my top 5 to-do list. As an SP modeler of the 80s and 90s, this is one of the must-have locomotives one needs in the roster. I grew up seeing them all over SoCal, and I felt the hobby still needed a definitive model of one of these iconic locomotives. During my time at our previous employer, we were able to check various other important SP models off the list. The tank train, SP bay window cabooses, GP38-2, GP40-2, GP40P-2, SD39, SD40R, SDP45, SD70M, and so on. But the SD40T-2 remained the holy grail of sorts, especially in regards to having a completely open and see-through radiator intake compartment, the T2 trademark, which all other models, including brass imports, truly lacked. So from the onset of this project, the goal has been to combine my love for the SP and the signature locomotive with the talents of our development team, engineers, toolmaker, factory, and a group of SP modeler friends that provided invaluable photos and other assistance to create what I'd like to think is the definitive SD40T-2 model. You know, I'm ecstatic with the low-profile drive our engineers developed, which keeps all axles driven, but still allows for a completely see-through radiator compartment. I'm truly excited to see what our team has created over this long development process, and I hope my fellow modelers will appreciate and enjoy our efforts. I know I can't wait to get a set of these in my hands to take to my club for the next run session.
Wow, man, I'm really glad that Paul shared that with us. You can surely tell that this is his passion, Ian.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
So I'll tell you what, let's take some time and share with our viewers all about this new locomotive.
Let's take a look.
All right. Welcome back. So Ian, let's talk about the new SD40T-2 tunnel motor.
Absolutely, Shane. So one of the big questions I have is, what makes this the definitive tunnel motor?
Man, that's a great question, Ian. Why don't you pick up the model?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at it.
So what really sets this model apart is look through the radiator intake grills. What do you see?
Oh, wow. You can see straight through. There's like nothing obstructing my view in there. I can see way behind the camera.
Yeah, so our marketing campaign for this locomotive is see through the difference. This is the first tunnel motor that you can see all the way through and absolutely nothing inside. Now, just like the Lion King movie, when they said look harder, take a look closer inside.
Okay. Oh, wow. I can see straight through to the radiator. That radiator fan's in there?
Yeah, so the radiator fans are in the top.
Oh, wow. There's that tread plate detail on the bottom?
Yeah, there's tread plate detail on the bottom.
Wow, that's incredible. So much detail in there.
So as you look inside, you mentioned the tread plate detail and the radiator fans, and if you look at the ends on the inside, the bulkhead detail is actually there too.
Yeah, you can see all the bulkhead detail. I mean, there's nothing obstructing my view. I can see straight through. That's incredible.
Yeah, and and you might be thinking, well, they must have done something so that that rear truck's not powered and I can see that view, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing there. How could that possibly be powered?
So that's the really cool thing. Our engineers worked really hard to come up with almost what I'd call a revolutionary new design, or at least an ingenious design, and it allows that rear truck to be powered. So you're getting all-wheel drive in both trucks for maximum pulling power, and you also get all-wheel electrical pickup.
That is amazing. This is really, really cool.
So, as you're taking a look at the model, of course, Southern Pacific is known for its lighting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I noticed there's some interesting lighting features back here and in the front too.
Yeah, so you've got the gyro light, and you've also got the big UDE light, both front and rear.
Okay.
And like all of our models, those are going to light. And of course, the early version, which is the one sitting in the front, it's got operating class lights that you can cycle between red, white, green, and off.
Okay.
And then the later version, which you're holding in your hand, actually has blanked over class lights, just like the prototype.
Yeah, I can see that there on the front nose.
So the other cool thing is, let's take a look here at the Rio Grande unit for a moment. You'll notice a couple of different versions on it as well. You've got the earlier version with the gyro light, with the Mars light, and the later version actually has the new box headlight, or box gyro light on the front.
Okay.
So both of those are going to light as well, just like the prototype.
Okay.
And these also have class lights as well that operate. You can cycle between red, white, green, and off.
That's really cool. And one thing I'm noticing, there's a little yellow apparatus on that locomotive. Is that something that's unique to it, or?
Well, when we talk about the rivet counter line, of course, it's road name and road number specific.
Yeah.
And as you look at the earlier Rio Grande unit, it's got a different type of rear rail frog on it. When you look at the later version in my hand, it has another style of rear rail frog. So it's unique to each type of locomotive.
Okay.
And while we're talking about those road name and road number specific details, I'm going to set this down for a second to make it a little easier for us.
Sure.
You'll notice that we've got an 81-inch nose with a ratchet brake,
Yeah.
an 88-inch nose with a brake wheel. So that makes it a little bit different. As we look at the Rio Grande units too, if you look back at the radiator doors on the rear of the locomotive, they're both different. There's like what we might call an early version and a late version.
Okay.
So some really subtle differences between the two, but it makes them stand out. And then when you look over at the Southern Pacific modelers, of course the big thing you're going to notice is the earlier version has the snoot nose, the 123-inch snoot.
Yeah, longer nose.
Yeah, that's right. And then the later version's got the 88-inch nose. The early version, I believe, has the red brake wheel, and the later has the gray brake wheel. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's going to make them both stand out as well.
Also noticed that there's like some subtle features and differences between the two, whereas this one with the snoot nose has a bell that's placed on the top of the cabin here.
Right.
And is that just like some of the detail that we go into with all these locomotives? I mean, it seems like we get really into like reporting marks and the little features and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as you look at like the Southern Pacific models, you pointed out that the bell's on the roof on the early version. The later version's got the bell mounted down in the frame, pretty standard EMD.
Yeah.
But some really big things on the SP to look at when we're looking at the roof detail. You'll see that the early version has the Locotrol on it.
Yeah.
There's actually master units. We have 2 of those in this first run and a remote unit. And if you look right underneath the cab window, you'll see an M with a lightning bolt. Those are the masters. There's 2 road numbers. And there's also one with an R with a lightning bolt. That's going to be the remote. That's going to differentiate the two. The later versions, they don't have the Locotrol on them. Mm-hmm. Some of the other neat features too on Southern Pacific, you'll see that there's a vapor air conditioner on the roof. You've got the ground plane antennas with all the conduit that's there. You get into little things like look at the cab sub-base doors.
Yeah.
The early versions are split, so there's actually 2 doors versus the later, which has just one long single, it's not really like a door, kind of a hatch.
Okay.
Another big thing that Southern Pacific really wanted to do is they wanted a bigger fuel tank. So the Rio Grandes have the standard 4,000 gallon fuel tank.
Yeah.
The SPs actually have a 4,400 gallon fuel tank, and of course they all have fuel fills. They've got all the plumbing running there. You've got the fuel sight glasses.
Yeah, I mean, even when you pick it up, you can see all the intricate plumbing detail, and I even noticed the difference. There's a little bit of a size difference between the Rio Grande and the Southern Pacific with the fuel tanks. I mean, that's just incredible that there's that much difference in between these models that we actually put into this.
Well, and it's not even just between the Rio Grande and the SP. Some little things like if you look at the early SP at the back of the dynamic brake hatch, one of the differentiators, there's a little batten strip that goes around. It's going to be right here.
Oh yeah, you can actually see it go across here, just raised up just ever so slightly.
Yeah, and the later version's not going to have that batten strip.
Yeah, it's not on that one right there.
Another thing too that you're going to see is little details as you look on the fireman's side. Right behind the cab on the later version is a BCAF B box versus the early version, and behind that is a different type of PTC control.
Yeah, you can see that right on there.
And then of course you've also got traction control on each axle on the later version too, with all of that detail there. Even little things, if you look at like the front of the locomotive, one of the really cool things on the SP, there's these angled they're lifting holes, and they're high on one, low on the other, and the angles are actually separate. That required a whole new pilot to make that.
Wow.
And while we're looking at that front pilot, little things too, like you'll see that the coupler cut levers have loops on the front, whereas on the back they're going to be, I believe on the SPs they're angled. On the Rio Grande they're straight. I might have got that backwards, but you get the idea of how unique that is. And even some more things for folks who are really rivet counters.
Yeah.
We talk about what differentiates this model. This is the first SD40T-2 with correct truck centers. That means that the dimensions between the trucks are exactly like the prototype. In early days, you would have shortened that distance so you could get the travel to be able to make sure it went around 18-inch radius curves.
Yeah.
Well, now we've been able to engineer it so we can get correct truck centers and still go around
Wow.
18-inch radius curves. Recommend 22s, but it'll still operate that way. And then, still talking about those rivet counter guys, another big feature for the really serious modeler is going to be the contour of the step wells. They're actually correct on both the Rio Grande and the SP. They actually they've got the right shape profile to them.
Well, this is just absolutely incredible. I mean, the amount of detail that we put into this, and I know that Paul has done an incredible job doing a lot
Absolutely.
of the research, and our R&D department has done an outstanding job of making sure this model is as accurate as possible. Now, I know that with our product line, we have our operator and a rivet counter normally.
Mm-hmm.
What is available for this model for our customers?
So this is a pretty unique locomotive. A lot of folks think it's just a glorified SD40-2.
Yeah.
It really is pretty much an all-new model. It's an all-new long hood. Our long hoods are integral to the short hoods, so those are all new, each of the sizes that you see, and the type of brake wheel and the ratchet brakes. The fuel tank, of course, is going to be different. A lot of new detail parts, walkways, grab irons. We share some truck detail and gear tower, but that's about it.
Okay.
Because it's of that uniqueness, this is going to only be available in the rivet counter line, just like the C39-8.
Okay, but does it come with sound and DCC? And I mean, if I don't want to have a sound DCC model, can I just get a DC ready version if I want to?
That's a great question. So, like all of our rivet counter models, you can get it DCC ready, which means it operates in DC.
Okay.
Comes with a 21-pin plug. We recommend an ESU Loc Sound decoder if you want to do a motor-only decoder. If you buy those direct from us, we'll actually put the programming that you need to make sure all the lights work.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes if you use other manufacturers' decoders, because it doesn't have the logic written into it, it's not going to activate all those really cool Mars lights and gyro lights and the UDE light, all those good things. So you really do need that ESU decoder and be able to get it programmed. One of the cool things, if you buy that direct from us, we'll actually do that for free for you too.
Well, that's really cool. Well, this is, it's absolutely incredible what we've done here, and I think a lot of people are going to like this model.
I do too. Before we wrap up, there's a couple things we probably should chat about too. There's a lot of features too for all rivet counter locomotives that are really important.
Yeah.
And they come with all the, we talk about more of those differentiators. If you look at the tread plate detail on these, it actually has tread plate, and it's all sectioned off just like the prototype with the weld lines.
Yeah.
We have things like see-through steps. Of course, you've got LED lighting throughout. You're going to get lighted number boards, lighted headlight. Of course, we talked about the special lighting features. You're going to get metal knuckle couplers because, of course, this is in the rivet counter line. You're going to get see-through fans on the roof. You can actually see the fan detail on the dynamic
incredible.
brake. You can look down through the exhaust stack. We really work hard to make sure that the relief for all of the, the hood doors and the side of the locomotive, that they're really crisp, really sharp. You get opening cab windows on the EMD units. All the plumbing, as you're looking up underneath there, is there for the frame rail detail for the traction motor cables.
Yeah.
Just a ton of, here's another little thing. If you look at the trucks, you'll notice between the early and late, there's different snubbers on the axles.
Yeah.
So
notice that between the two different versions.
Yep. You got separate air tanks.
Yeah.
From the fuel tank, correct fuel tank contours. Little things like the inertial air intakes are correct for whichever version is. There's actually early, intermediate, and late versions of those. There's different dynamic brakes between the SP and the Rio Grande. Really get down to that fine detail. I know Paul and the team spend a lot of time, and it's not just in the detail. With the locomotive that you're holding in your hand, that's actually a late SP version, and if you'll notice, the armrest is a different color than the other armrests. That's actually a modified version that they did.
On there, I noticed there's like an orange little
Yep.
on the side. So is that part of the armrest thing?
Yeah, that's part of the armrest thing. And then also too, they did some. They painted the steps in a high visibility color. They put them in white. And of course, one thing we did miss early on that's a really important feature for the SP fans. The early version tunnel motors, of course, have that very unique L window shape to them.
Yes, that's right.
Right, and then of course SP came back later when they did the modifications and they put two windows in to make it more economical for the locomotive. So.
And we modeled that on this particular one, right?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. We captured all of those features. I mean, if it's on a tunnel motor,
it'll be on this one.
With Paul's passion and dedication to this project, it's absolutely here. Even the little details looking at the Rio Grande units between where the warning labels are placed.
Yeah.
And if you look inside the G and the Grand, there's actually two different types of stencils there. You can even see down on the sill the lesser plate that goes on a locomotive.
Yeah.
There's two different styles. So I mean, we could go on and on and
Yeah.
on about the features. I think the best thing that we should do is really, tell our viewers, if you really want to learn more about these locomotives and see all the details up close, go to our website, scaletrains.com. Lots of photos there, lots more product information. I'm sure we may have missed a key point or two, and it's all going to be there for you. So you're probably wondering, so where do I pre-order these locomotives? Well, you can pre-order them now at www.scaletrains.com and select retailers. Well, Ian, it's probably time for us to get back to the show.
Yep.
So let's tell our friends out there, with scaletrains.com, you will see through the difference.